Today, we're going a little woo woo, so fair warning, because every week I say it's never the situation that has you stuck, it's your energy that's become stuck. And maybe this hasn't exactly resonated with you, especially if your energy is naturally quite high. So, my question is it possible to be in a high energy yet still feel stuck? What if you've mastered the positive energies? What comes next? And what if this next thing is your hidden power? Well, there isn't a lot written about the blue flame, but we're going to tackle it today, so stay tuned. What do you do when your dreams feel unreachable, your reality feels close to unbearable, and no matter how hard you work to shake things up, no matter how much time and effort you put into changing your life, you still feel deeply, painfully, and hopelessly stuck? What you need is alchemy. What is alchemy? Well, it's a process that changes or transforms something in a magical way. You can discover how to create this very practical form of magic in your own life, shifting your energy in a way that dissolves the obstacles in your path to literally bring success to you. My name is Remy, like Do Re Mi, and I'm a best-selling author. Knowing how to unlock this hidden power, how to take back your resilience so you can just move forward, is the battle cry of anyone who's been through one of life's crushing setbacks. Luckily, unlocking your hidden power is easier than it might seem. I have something that I think you'll enjoy, and you can get started with this very practical form of magic right here, right now. Okay, let me jump off the screen here and switch over to my laptop. Today, we're talking about an energy that isn't really an energy at all, but a frequency. You know, every week we talk about this energy thing, and I often say it isn't your situation, but your energy or your emotion about the situation that has you stuck. And today we're going past human emotion and up into the blue flame frequency. So if you've been going through an ascension, or if you've been feeling like you're good, but kind of stuck in that good place and feeling like you're missing something, then this topic may be brand new and super interesting for you. When we talk about energy and frequencies and what exactly might take you to that next level of success, we don't want to leave anything out, even if it's a little woo woo. If you aren't getting the success you want in full abundance, however you identify with success, and if you're wanting to tap into a greater knowingness and align with the higher consciousness of your infinite self, instead of the lower ego thinking that pushes desires away, then this episode is for you. It's time to be unabashedly, unapologetically, happily untethered to ego thinking and align with your soul's path instead. This episode is for you if you wonder what is the blue flame. Well, duh, that's why you're listening in, right? This is for you if you wonder, have you been activated into this frequency and didn't even realize it? This is for you if you wonder why you sometimes feel stuck, even when you aren't, and you know you aren't, but you still feel like you are. Yes, these episodes are about how to find your hidden power when you want to transform challenges into successes. I like to call it the audacity of alchemy, because when we're feeling stuck, it's never the situation that has us stuck. It's our energy that's become stuck in anxiety, overwhelm, doubts, worries, frustrations, indecision, and even anger. And often this is because of a spiritual injury that we've experienced, some kind of a hidden trauma. So it isn't the pain of the situation, it's the pain of not being connected in the natural energy of who we really are, of being connected to that magical part of us that's a creative vibrational being who can use positive energies to create what we want and bring it into physical manifestation. We can watch our manifestations materialize and not get stuck in the negative vibrations that block them. These positive energies that we talk about so much are where we find the magic of alchemy, because our choice of frequency, our choice of those higher energy thought patterns can change the course of our journey. And today we're talking about an energy that isn't really an energy at all, but a frequency, and that's the frequency of the blue flame. The blue flame is the light of pure positive love. It's not to be confused with the twin flame energy, and it also has nothing to do with karmic relationships. This frequency of love has nothing to do with our energy. In fact, this is not even romantic love. The blue flame is a very high frequency of love that we're all connected into. It's a different, very high frequency in which we receive universal love. In this frequency, and this is cool, we can also transmute negative energies into universal love. In this frequency, we receive the strength we need in our weakest moments, and that's what pulls us through. It's the compassion inside of us when we feel that everybody has forgotten us, or we feel that nobody has been there for us, yet we still find it somewhere within ourselves to be there for others who are in need. Even though the blue flame is always there, not many people are really connected into it or receive it or are able to even work with this frequency. But some of us are able to connect with it because our vibration is higher in general. Those who are highly spiritually evolved work in this frequency and others like it. So, my question for you is, have you been activated into this higher frequency and you just didn't realize it? This blue flame love can be experienced through different soul connections, relationships, family members, friendships, sometimes through a romantic connection. But this is not going to be in a connection where there are lies, disconnection, back and forth chaos, or anything that's filled with painful life lessons. These painful betrayals are part of a twin flame love or a karmic love. That's a different experience. Karmic love, as we've talked about before, usually has the underlying lesson to simply step away, to step out of it, to just step outside of the cycle, to disempower that chaos by taking our energy and playing elsewhere. That's usually the lesson of a karmic relationship. What we're talking about here doesn't have anything to do with karma and everything to do with tapping into our hidden power, that higher frequency that can transmute and transform other energies. Make sense? The blue flame transforms the lower energies. Now, in a situation where you're experiencing the blue flame love or where you're tapped into this frequency, you may not always be in a harmonious flow, and it doesn't mean that you'll always agree with the other person. What's important to know is that this blue flame frequency is not that of harm or destruction. The blue flame doesn't harm or destroy, it transforms. It is the frequency that builds up, strengthens, heals, and elevates, but it won't be a connection with someone who hurts you, plays games, ghosts you, or invalidates you in any way. That is not this frequency at all on any level. This blue flame love is something quite different. It's not jealous, invalidating, possessive. It's not about ego or any of ego's controlling emotions. This is unconditional love, but it's even a whole different level than that. There's a level of discernment and wisdom that comes with this. This is where we have already mastered our emotional body. Oh, we still feel emotion, but we've mastered our emotions. So if we're triggered, we don't negatively respond or react. When we're tapped into the blue flame frequency, our natural inclination, if we're triggered, is to simply rise higher. We don't fight and we don't run. We take responsibility by asking, how can I make this better, stronger, higher, brighter? And this is the thing that I love. If we can just make a side note about responsibility. Are you ever annoyed by someone who says, I take full responsibility? What does that even mean? It can be so annoying. To me, taking full responsibility either means don't cause harm in the first place, don't hurt them to begin with. That would be taking full responsibility. Or it also means rising higher and asking, how can I make this better, stronger, higher, brighter? That would be responsibility. Whether it's a challenge at work or a challenge with a business partner, or we're challenged in reaching our next level of success, that's the experience of the blue flame frequency. When we experience these challenges, we don't run, we don't hide. We don't dig down there in the problem itself, which only makes the problem expand anyway. We make a choice to rise higher. It's a natural inclination for us, knowing that the problem is an illusion anyway that's asking us to rise higher anyway. This can be difficult when we just want to dig in there and fix the problem. But once we've been activated into this new frequency, it's an easy choice. It's an easy, more natural inclination for us. So, not many of us work in this frequency on Earth at this time. A lot of people simply aren't evolved enough to understand this and can barely touch this high frequency. Oh, they may have glimpses of it, but it almost burns because the frequency is so high. There's a level of evolution of one's soul that is required to fully incorporate and work with this frequency. If you feel like you're at a higher level, perhaps you're going through an ascension, then you were born with this birthright. It's what gets you through. It's what has always carried you. It's always connected to you. It's always available to you. The more that you awaken and become aware of yourself and evolve into the true depth of who you are, a part of this high frequency, even when you're at your lowest, you become more and more and more in this frequency, and it becomes more and more of who you are and what you are. You'll become more of this frequency, which allows you to align with others who are also in this frequency. Because let's face it, it can be lonely when we don't want to hang out with people who carry a lower energy. But as we become more and more of this frequency, we'll align with others who are in this frequency too. Okay, so let's move on. This is not a frequency that's meant to create painful growth lessons or painful expansion. This is a frequency of love that's meant to carry you, support you, heal you, and allow you that higher level of discernment in all things. You know, it's interesting. They say that justice is blind because there's no emotion in justice. It can't see what's real because it isn't humanized. Justice is practical and pragmatic. And our ego kind of works the same way. It's blind to real love and those higher frequencies. Our ego only understands the lower energies of doubts, worries, frustrations, indecision, anger, and all that. And when the ego wants justice in a particular situation, it pulls out all those negative emotions. It thinks about me, right? But ego doesn't carry you, support you, heal you, or allow a higher wisdom. Now, this blue flame isn't filled with the humanized emotions, and there is no justice thinking. The very deep love is there, but it isn't engineered with evil versus good. It isn't engineered with me. It isn't engineered with fairy tale romance. The blue flame isn't a humanized form of love and fear. There's a difference between these, the humanized love and the blue flame love. There's a difference between the two. You can experience humanized love within the blue flame, but it's really a much higher frequency than humanized love and romance. It's a higher level of discernment because it can see all things. It can see the spiritual perspective and how we're reaching. We're all reaching for these higher levels. You know, I remember someone saying at one of my workshops that even God doesn't judge because to judge, you must first condemn. And this blue flame frequency doesn't condemn and doesn't judge because it isn't humanized. It's a higher form of love. This blue flame love is meant to transmute the lower energies, though. It's meant to help lift others up. It's meant to be experienced in our life and shared. There will be people that we'll meet where we'll activate them to their higher frequency so they can begin to tap into this too. This frequency does stem from the heart chakra, but there's a higher discernment where it's not attached to romantic love or life lessons or soul lessons. That's not the frequency. It's truly meant to transform, activate, heal, support, and carry us. We're invited to rise into this higher understanding of life, something beyond our emotions. The challenge in being in the human form is that we feel everything emotionally. So those that we love and who we're emotionally bonded to receive our tolerance. We do things out of that emotional bond, whereas someone we have no emotional attachment to doesn't receive our tolerance in the same way. We see them acting out. They're doing things that we feel are disgraceful. They make us sad and sickened emotionally. We want to call them out on their disgrace. What we don't see is that we're meant to activate their higher frequency so they can begin to tap into this blue flame unconditional love. We're meant to be a catalyst. So within this blue flame, we may feel an emotional trigger, but that negative emotional response is no longer there for us. We aren't dehumanized by any means as a person, but we have a different perspective. Yes, we have the heart chakra, and so we definitely feel. But we also, at the same time, see this higher perspective, the picture of the way everything moves and turns in relation to each other. We see things as God sees things. We understand that each person's path and their personal karma for this lifetime represents what they're here to learn. They have potential to grow, they have their own destiny to grow into, and seeing that higher perspective of things means we no longer desire negative emotional responses in ourselves or in them. We no longer want to intervene or change things up or push against what's happening. And boy, that is a beautiful thing. It's not necessarily a place of acceptance or surrender. Yes, but no. It's really more of a place of spiritual perspective and an ability to see what's happening from that higher perspective without a need to control or judge it. And it's not necessarily a place of unconditional love. Yes, but no, because it has the power to transmute energy, to change it in a magical way. So we aren't trying to change who they are or how they behave toward us. We're changing and transmuting the energy underneath it all. Now, I'm not saying that you have to agree with me or accept what I'm saying, but this is a different perspective of life that maybe you've never considered before. And maybe you've been activated into this blue flame frequency and didn't even realize it. If you've ever felt stuck, but not stuck in the lower negative emotions, and so you've wondered what is it that's got you stuck, this may be a different perspective that will make a lot of sense. Maybe you've been stuck in a really good high frequency and just felt like it still isn't where you belong. Maybe you felt like there was more, an even higher frequency that you haven't yet explored or didn't even know was there. This blue flame frequency isn't even the highest frequency, believe it or not, but you can go research other flames if you feel so inspired. I think most of us have heard of the violet flame. It's the most well known. Now, my understanding, and boy, this is a very loose explanation because I don't want to get off topic, but my understanding is that there are 7 flames, the violet flame being the beginner's level. It's to help with negative energies like we talk about every week. That's the violet flame. The next level up is the blue flame, and it's also for transmuting negative energies like the violet flame, and it's also for building up our inner strength that builds one upon the other, the violet and the blue. Then next up is the green flame to connect us with our truth, and so on. 7 flames. They each have a purpose and they build one upon the other. But for today, we're really just talking about the blue flame. So I invite you to research the others on your own. Okay, let's move on. Every person has a place in this world, but that doesn't mean that we have to lower our vibration just to have people around us. We'd like them to raise their vibration. And that's where we can perhaps activate their frequency rather than lowering ours. We can allow them the healing and find a conduit through our light, through our comfort, through our compassion, through our empathy, but also use our strengths with the blue flame to pull them up and empower them energetically without sacrificing our own frequency in the process. This blue flame frequency honors the lessons they're gaining through everything that comes their way that challenges them, that makes them fall, that creates struggle for them. It's a beautiful thing when this blue flame frequency honors them this way. It doesn't mean that we're to absorb their journey or their emotions, but we can help them connect the dots, which doesn't allow them to remain in a victim mentality. You've seen the imbalance and the dysfunction, and you're now looking through a different lens. Now you're wishing for enlightenment for that soul who's hurting, that they can quickly use discernment to see the lesson within their challenge so they don't hurt anymore, so they don't harm others anymore. It's such a different vibration of energy to see things from this perspective. When we're tapped in to the blue flame frequency, our natural inclination is to simply rise higher. It just becomes a natural inclination for us. And we wish this enlightenment for others as well. Our spiritual journey is to bring in the light, to choose higher frequency thought patterns and positive emotions, because our choice of frequency can change the course of our journey, and it can change the course for others as well. So, reflecting back on what we covered today, how can you apply what you've learned? Was it a little too woo-woo for you? Or did it finally answer some questions? Have you been to hell and back and finally risen up to a higher frequency, but just didn't know what to call it? Well, most people can barely touch this blue flame frequency. There's a level of evolution of our soul that's required for us to work within this frequency. But if you feel like you're at a higher level, then you know it's what gets you through. The more that you awaken and become aware of yourself and evolve into the true depth of who you are, a part of this very high frequency, you become more and more a part of this frequency, and it becomes more and more of who and what you are. Well, I hope this helps you as you're using the powers of alchemy to transform challenges and obstacles into positive new successes. But if you still can't get your head around what's got you stuck, you can tell me about it. You can send me a question to questions@unlockyourhiddenpower.com, or I also have a free guide available for you if you'll simply visit unlockyourhiddenpower.com. Of course, if you're already right here on the podcast page and not listening through iTunes or one of the others, then you'll see it right there for you at the top of the right-hand column. If you've ever thought to yourself, I need to get my life back, then you've probably suffered invalidation, abuse, or spiritual injury. And knowing how to take back your life so you can move forward, well, it's the battle cry of anyone who's been through one of life's crushing setbacks. Fortunately, finding your way back to you is easier than it might seem. This new guide is the first step in getting out of the sheer frustration of being stuck and spinning your wheels on success that seems elusive. Thanks for joining me today, and I'm wishing you a life filled with all the alchemy you need to bring success to you. Feel free to share this video with anyone you know who's feeling stuck, and don't forget to grab your free guide at unlockyourhiddenpower.com.